Mind, Body, Spirit, Part 2, Conscious and Unconscious. Welcome to this video where we are going to be diving into you. We're going to be looking at the different parts that make you who you are, specifically the 3 different parts that when you connect to them all and bring them all together into a whole, you're going to be able to do the most extraordinary and incredible things, because inside you right now is a limitless power supply. There's also a part of you which stores all of your memories, all of your fears, all of the programs you've been given throughout your life, and also all your dreams, your hopes, your deepest desires. And then there's this part of you which is sitting here right now watching this video, the conscious mind. Once these are all connected, you release your true power. So to understand how this works, think of a huge sphere of power. This sphere is outside of time, it's beyond space, it is ultimate, it's infinite. We might say that this sphere is what some people think of as God, what some people think of as divine intelligence, but you can just call it infinity or whatever you want. Now, at some point in time, this infinite power and pure unconditional love, which is what it is, decides that it wants to experience something different, wants to explore. So what does it do? Inside of itself, it creates a lens. You've got infinite light, and then this light creates a filter, a lens inside of itself. And in looking through this lens, this infinite power and light can now see all kinds of these beautiful patterns. It can actually see itself and the infinite beautiful patterns that it contains, kind of like a light show. It switches on this light show. And so this realm, called the non-physical or metaphysical realm, is created. Now this realm is non-physical. There's no objects in this realm. What is there? Energy. Just pure, limitless energy, right? And this infinite true self, this infinite God or power, is now able to experience these extraordinary patterns and colors and beautiful, spectacular lights in a totally different way. And there's just so many different variations, and it's fascinating and it's interesting and it's rich and it's full and it's amazing. It's experiencing this totally new experience. And in this space, there are ideas, there are inventions, there is imagination, there's all of this stuff going on, all limitless, absolutely limitless. And this space, this sphere, then decides, imagine if we could create something, a place where we could actually be limited in a certain way. We could be in one place at one time. I could be this person and you could be that person, so that we could have even more extraordinary experiences, so that we could have time, a sense of something beginning and then a journey and then an ending. Imagine that. So what happens? This energy, which on the periphery closest to this power source is very high in vibration, this energy begins to organize itself in smaller and smaller and lower vibrations and condense itself into what becomes the physical universe, right? The physical universe right in the center. The energy condenses itself down, kind of like this was imagine if this was water, 3 different stages, right? This is the gas or the steam. This is the water, very fluid, and the energy's dropped a little bit. And then this is the condensed water, which becomes the ice. Just one way of looking at it, one way of thinking about it. Now, as you can see, the most power and the most energy is up here in this pure source. This is where unconditional love, pure oneness exists in its rawest form, in its most direct form. Then you've got this metaphysical realm where it's more condensed. The energy's dropped a little bit, but it's still filled with the presence of this unconditional love and oneness, but the form has changed. And now, in this realm, all of the designs, all of the ideas, thoughts, inventions, imagination, limitless potential exist for what can be created on this realm, the physical realm, which is where there are people and places and things and time and distance and me and you and separation. And this has the lowest energy of all, but this has so much potential for so many extraordinary things to happen. It's just a very special and unique place where you can do certain things that you can't do here, and you can do certain things here that you can't do here. So now we have an introduction to you. This is where you begin and your journey continues. So imagine, if you will, this is like a transmitter, right? There's a transmission of pure energy coming from this level. Then you've got another receiver, right? This receiver picks up that pure energy, and because of the unique design of this receiver, and there are many of these out here in the metaphysical realm, many different kinds of receivers, many different thoughts, feelings, ideas, entities exists here. These pick up the raw power and they receive it, and then they change it. They change its form into something unique. They transform it into something different. This is where your potential for absolute power comes from. If you can tap into this level of who you are, you can actually use this limitless raw energy that's coming into you at every moment. You can transform it into something that you choose, that you align yourself with, that you focus on. And then that can manifest and show up in this physical world. That's how it works. This is where the information is. This is where the energy comes from. This is where the designs are. And this is where it shows up. The smallest layer of reality, if you will. The lowest in power, because as we move out, the power is increasing. As we go down, power is decreasing, condensing into solid form. This is what's possible for you. This is the receiver you can tune into and pick up any one of these ideas, thoughts, templates for anything you want to create, whether it be money or a lifestyle or a living in a certain place or being with a certain type of person. This is where it changes. Most people are getting caught up down here, right? Trying to change it on that physical level, and they're wondering why it takes them decades and decades or years and years or even months and months to do something that could potentially be done in the blink of an eye. That's where we're getting caught up. So to understand this a bit more, let's draw a little diagram here. You've got power at the top end of the scale, and you've got force at the bottom end of the scale. Here's where the physical world is. It's closest to force. This is where we're trying to manipulate physical reality through, whether it be technology or working really hard at something, tensing ourselves, straining ourselves to get something. We're down here on the level of force. This is where the negative emotions are. Guilt, shame, fear, anxiety, depression, all of that stuff exists right down on the lowest level of this scale, right at the bottom of the physical scale. At the top, you've got all the positive emotions, like love, joy, peace. And as you move closer towards these emotions, you're moving further and further out into this metaphysical realm. As you move deeper and deeper into yourself, you could say you're moving further and further out or deeper and deeper in. You're tuning into this metaphysical realm where you've got access to all ideas, power, inspiration for creativity, resources. It all exists on that level, right? And as you move more towards positivity, you gain access to more of that power. So this is actually where your conscious mind tends to show up. Your conscious mind is typically on this very physical level, this very tangible level. And this is where science today is preoccupied. It's preoccupied with what it can see and measure with the 5 physical senses, right? That's where the conscious mind is in its domain. It's what's picking up everything you see, what's picking up everything you can hear right now. It's giving this conscious experience of exactly what's going on. Your unconscious mind lives closer and extends out into this entire metaphysical and beyond realm. This is what makes your unconscious mind so powerful. It is connected to infinity. It's not bound by time. It's not bound by the linear laws that govern this physical realm. Your unconscious mind is actually linked up to everything. It's kind of like a radio receiver. So remember the transmitters? Your unconscious mind is like a receiver that can tune into literally any station at all. It's entirely up to you. You can use this thing here to tune into any frequency, right? Any possibility, which all exists on this metaphysical level. It's kind of like another example. The more examples you get, the more it gives your mind an opportunity to make it click for you. Just looking at it from all these different angles will help. You've got a phone, right? You've got a phone, and on that phone is a little emoji character. So this symbolizes the physical world. You're looking at your phone screen, there's a little emoji character on there, and this emoji character is moving around in the physical world on this level. What most people are trying to do when they're improving their life in some way, or wanting to become happier, or get some more money, heal themselves, become healthier, just improve in some way, they're trying to send this emoji out to change the physical world. It can't do that. It can't do anything outside of what it's programmed to do. The programming is coming from this metaphysical place. The programming, which is coming from this metaphysical level, sets a limit on what this emoji can do. If the program says you have brown hair and you're wearing a green shirt, and that's who you are. The emoji can try all he or she wants to put on a red shirt or change the color of its hair, and it's not going to be able to because the program is determining what it can and can't do. So, and again, this program, this is energized by this level up here, right? This is where the power is coming from. This is where the message or the design or the program is coming from, which can be changed into anything. This is where it shows up. This is where it manifests on the physical level. So to give you an idea, if we're going to look at this more on a biological level, imagine back to the first ever form of life. Imagine when the first cell arose on planet Earth billions and billions of years ago, right? So you've got the beautiful Earth, and then the energy is coming down, and at some point, somehow, this signal instructs or designs the first cell. This cell is now alive in the physical world. What's it actually doing? It's using this energy from this level to energize a design and bring it into physical form. This cell now is able to experience the physical world. This is a huge step in biology, in evolution. We've now moved from pure energy form on this level, pure energy and information on this level, to a physical organism which can use that energy and can draw on all of these designs, ideas, possibilities, information, and it's channeled itself into a form which can move around on the physical world. So now this energy can experience the physical world through this form. Follow me here. This little life form and other little life forms start to develop, and they're all these little singular cells, and they've got their little conscious minds that they can see with, right? He's got a little conscious mind, he's got a little conscious mind, and they're now experiencing having a good time on this physical level. Well, pretty soon, two of them decide to get together and share resources. This one's really good at finding food. This one's really good at cleaning up and security, defending against predators. So what do? They get together and they specialize and they cooperate. And this way, these two minds are now able to get more food, keep their area safer, and keep their environment cleaner. So they've evolved into a more complex organism. This information is flowing from this information realm, this spiritual realm, guiding them with the energy of how they can move forward, how they can evolve. It's highlighting possibilities. It's guiding them with the intelligence that comes from this realm into this physical world, kind of like a remote control. These are like remote controlled little bio-robots, biological organisms so far advanced from what we would understand as a robot that it defies the imagination, right? So they've now joined together. Well, what happens over time? You've got these two little cells that have bonded together, and now they're finding other cells. And pretty soon, a big community of these cells come together, and they can all do different things. The ones down here are really good at walking. These ones become specialists at movement, and they carry the whole community around because they're really strong. These ones become really good at everything to do with, let's just say, moving objects. So they form the ability to climb, to throw things, to grab things. This group of cells up here is really good at taking in the food, digesting. So this one specializes in that. Now you've got all these little intelligences, right? Remember, these are all little single organisms that have bonded together for a common goal, all cooperating. And together, they're able to be much more successful at surviving. They're able to do so much more than what they could have by themselves. Through this collaboration, through this union, they are now much, much stronger than they were as individual little cells when they began. So eventually, they realize some of these cells can actually be responsible for the conscious experience, right? Some of these cells are really, really good at just being present, at noticing what's going on in the environment, at having a sense of, I am one whole being. And so this becomes the conscious mind. The conscious mind is now the one who's scanning the environment, the one who is imagining, the one who's thinking about the future, the one who's reflecting on the past, the one who is here moment by moment orchestrating what's going on right now, right here, while all these other cells, so remember, this is just a community of cells up here that specialize in all of that. All of these other cells, what are they doing? They're going to hold all of the other information, because as these cells have evolved through billions and billions of years, they're having experiences all the time. Experiences just coming in. You've got like predators, you've got other diseases that are bad for them, all coming in over billions of years. Where's all this information going? This information is getting programmed into these forms, into these cells, and that's getting transferred onto future generations. So in fact, every single event that's ever occurred all the way up this chain from the very first instance of life is now recorded in that future generation, this current generation. It's all imprinted in that cell. And this entire organism has evolved from that single cellular organism. This human being that we end up with today, which is you, has evolved as billions and billions and billions of communities of cells coming together, sharing information, recording experiences, learning, energized, remember, by this power which comes from this highest realm through this information realm. Through the information realm. And it's actually all getting recorded on this level as well. So that's a lot of information. It's a very simple explanation of how this is happening, but it'll help you to really consolidate what's going on when you look at the physical world, when you think about your mind and how it works. The software's up here in the unconscious. Your experience of what's going on right now is here in your conscious. And the power source is coming from here. All right? So next up, we want to look at what the conscious mind is actually able to do. Remember, it's the one that develops the ability to go, oh, cool, there's a physical world out there. there's a tree. Oh, there's an attractive guy or girl. Oh, there's a beautiful cat. And the conscious mind gets to have all of these cool experiences, right? Dog. What's really going on is pure source energy is experiencing its own creation through what you call your body. This is like an avatar. This is like a computer character or an emoji playing on this level, being energized by source energy. So when this being reaches a certain level of consciousness, when it's gone through enough generations, when it's gone through enough levels on the game of physical reality, it starts to realize certain things. It starts to realize like, oh, hey, I don't really feel happy. What's the purpose of my life? Where did I come from? Why is it that I've got a sense that there's something greater than what I've experienced? And all of these questions are emerging because what has happened through this human experience, what's happened with this human is that it started off as a baby, right? And when this baby was born, human beings have also been forming communities. This is kind of crazy when you think about it. Human civilization has arisen because just like the little cells that got together to form certain, to specialize in different things and help each other cooperate, and in doing so, instead of all these little individual egos, they eventually became one ego, one whole, one sense of self. Human beings started doing the same thing. This human was really good at having babies. This one was good at hunting meat. And boom, they cooperate, they form a new sense of togetherness, tribal, they band together, and now they've got a baby. How does this baby start? This baby has now got the templates of all of the previous generations who have existed before these humans, dating all the way back to their single cell and multi-cell organism ancestors. All that information is being carried through billions and billions of years, through all of the different iterations of life, from fungi, protozoa, plants, amphibians, fish, reptiles, all the way to the development of the human. This is all recorded inside. It's crazy. This is all recorded in the cells of the physical human being. So this baby starts with a little layer of pre-recorded information, and this is where we're getting into the unconscious mind a bit more detail. This baby has all the templates for everything that's ever happened in the history of its genealogy, dating back to the first cell that was ever created. It's got all of that inside of it. Then what happens, these humans have valuable life experiences that they've had, right? And so some of the baby's sense of self and the templates for how it can be as a physical expression are already imprinted in its cells. And then some of the baby's programming comes from mum and dad. They're passing on the knowledge. Dad's stoked because he's just caught a bear. They're passing the knowledge down into the baby and they're programming it. So slowly, this baby is getting programmed. It's already got this layer deep inside it. Year after year, decade after decade, this baby is now fully programmed. Do you remember the diagram from the last video where you've got, again, source energies right at the core. Then you've got this ego layer, which is saying, I'm me, this is the individual me, I'm separate, I'm an individual character, which is what the ego is. And then you've got all these layers of programming spiraling out year after year that eventually make up what this baby becomes, which is a fully programmed adult. It's socially programmed by the parents, by the community, by the tribe, and it's biologically programmed by its ancestry, and also everything that's coming from that information level, that metaphysical level. Which brings us again to where we are today. Think about your life right now. Think about your beliefs. Think about what makes you you, your memories. Who are you really? Most people think that they are the programming. Most people think that they're the ego and all of the experiences they've had. They think that they're the beliefs that they have. They think that they're the job they've got, the amount of money that they make, the partner they've got, how attractive they are, what their body looks like. This is all of the programming, right? And this happens in layers. I'm going to dive into this in the next video. We're going to look at the layers of programming, specifically the different ages that these different layers of programming come in. But what's really going on? How do you understand the programming and what's actually happening? Well, it's almost as if when this baby is a very young baby, it's experiencing the world, because think about how a baby experiences the world. A baby doesn't have a brain that interprets information like yours or mine. A baby is just getting raw data. It doesn't filter it into, that's a tree, that is the world, I'm living in the world, that's my mother, that's a tree, that's food over there, okay, cool. I've got a picture of what the world's like. A baby's just getting bombarded with pure information. Baby's just getting bombarded with particles. And over time, through conditioning, through the development of the baby's brain, its biological development can take place based on the templates of its evolution, all of its preceding generations that have led up to the intelligence that that baby's cells are now. This is all allowing this baby to begin to form a picture, to begin to interpret this metaphysical, energetic signal into a solid reality, a solid physical reality. That's what's going on. So this happens in stages, and it's almost as if we're given blindfolds, and these are magical blindfolds, right? The baby is born, its brain begins to develop, it goes through a time of life when it realizes, I want food, I want to be close to my mother, I want to feel like I'm safe. And so the first blindfold goes on, the magic blindfold. And now the baby can see through this blindfold, it can see and it can notice, oh, the food's there, mother's there, I feel safe. Okay, cool. This magical blindfold trains the baby's brain. We can imagine them as like magic Google glasses, where you look through these glasses and it highlights everything that you need to see on that level. That's what's going on, the first level. The baby gets a little bit older, it's 3 years old, and the parents give it a nice little red blindfold. The red blindfold is going to show you where the danger is. Don't go there. That guy's powerful. That's my dad. That lady's powerful. That's my mom. Okay, I need to respect what they say. I need to make sure I don't annoy them, because otherwise I'll be punished. This is what happens through the red blindfold. You begin to see the social dynamics of you and me. There's two different separate entities. This is what's going on through this magical red blindfold. The baby develops, and the parents now know that the baby's old enough, because it's 4 years old now, to be given the blue blindfold. Also, the baby's brain is developing and it realizes that there are rules in this social world. I'm me, you're you, and there's a community of people out there around me. And they live by this code. And if I follow the code, things go well. If I don't follow the code, I get punished and I'm back in red again and everything's dangerous and I get attacked and bad, evil, bad. That's what's going on. The baby gets a little bit older and it realizes it's not a baby anymore. Oh, there's opportunities. I can create. I feel attracted to that person. Wow, what's going on? I can make money. I can go after whatever I want. I can get really good at different skills and become a leader and create stuff and inspire people and all this and that. On this level, this is what the baby sees, opportunity. It's a teen now, let's say, or an older child. This can happen at any age. It's not really age limited. There's a general pattern that occurs, but you can get stuck in any of these levels. You can get stuck looking through any one of these blindfolds. Also important to know is that as these blindfolds are going on, what's happening? You've got a filter, a filter, a filter. This baby's trying to see accurately through all these filters, and they start to accumulate on top of each other, and the baby is losing contact with direct reality more and more and more as it gets older. It's getting programmed, conditioned, programmed, conditioned, programmed. This is what's happened to all of us. This is the human experience. So as that child gets older, as it develops, by the time it's an adult, this baby is so programmed with so many filters and so many blindfolds, it cannot experience reality directly, freely. This source energy that first wanted to have an experience through this being of this created physical world is now very stifled. It can't really get past all these layers like it would love to, like it would love to experience the excitement of the raw physical world in its pure form. All of this junk, school, religion, politics, advertising, media, all cramming up the vision of this being. It's not free anymore. And this is actually the state of the human race. And this is why we're going into this, because I want to show you how you can begin to remove these filters until you've removed every single one of them and you can see clearly. You can see clearly that you're actually coming from up here. Your power is up here and you can manifest down here whatever you want. That's where we're going with this series. That's what mind, body, spirit, power is about. So understand that this is what's going on. All this programming has happened on the unconscious level. You've got these blocks like in the last video. These blocks are happening. And what are these blocks? They're programs that say reality is like this and it's not like that. I can do, for example, just the classic, I'm not worthy, or I'm ugly, or whatever it may be, or I can never succeed. These are all experiences that have happened throughout this being's life and have also been handed to this being through its ancestry, because programming is happening on multiple levels. You've got your ancestry, again, back to the cell, and you've also got conditioning from your lifetime. On the deepest level, let's look at this. You've got your genetic programming, you've got your karma, which we'll be getting into. You've got your instinct. This is how you're able to do certain things as a small child or as a baby. we do have certain inbuilt instincts that get programmed on top of. All right, so all of this other programming is coming in at those levels. So really, when you hear someone talk about shadow work, which is again what we'll be diving into, it's about going into your unconscious mind. It's about going back through these layers, removing those blocks so that energy can just shine through you. Oh, wrong color. So that energy can just flow freely to and through you. This is what gives you your power. This energy is what runs your entire physical body, which is what's giving you the ability to digest food, to store long-term memories, to draw on your imagination. That's all happening down here, but if it's all clogged up, it's not going to work. If you remember back to the first video, I spoke about the 3 levels again. So you've got your source energy in the center, this very deep ego programming layer, which is the part of you which is saying, I'm a separate being. Then you've got your unconscious mind, and you've got your conscious mind. What are all these? Well, what's the unconscious mind all about in a summary? What are the different features of the unconscious mind? The unconscious mind is the part of you, again, in contact with all of this raw energy which is being transmitted. It is filtering that information through all of its layers of programming. So let's say on this level, someone wants to manifest a beautiful car. So let's say this being wants to manifest a beautiful car. If you're familiar with manifestation and how that works, you focus your attention on something, you think about it, and the longer you think about it, the more focus you give it, the more it grows in your unconscious mind. And then sooner or later that mobilizes your conscious mind into action and mobilizes your body into action and gets you harmonized and vibrating on the level of what you want. I'll be getting into this deeper, so if this makes no sense, don't worry about it. That's going to manifest. If this is all blocked up with junk, doesn't matter how much focusing you do, doesn't matter how many affirmations you say, this power can't flow through you to manifest what you want to manifest. So that's what's going on the unconscious level. What are the features of the unconscious mind? Well, there's a few different things that the unconscious mind does, and I'm just going to give you a list here because this is going to allow you to start becoming aware of how your unconscious mind works, and then you can start to tap into it, start clearing out these programs, which we'll be getting into the how-to in future videos, and start manifesting the life you want. It's all about letting go, and it's about manifestation. That's the work we're doing here. That's what this series is all about. So I'm going to give you a list. Your unconscious mind, it stores all of your memories, remember? It's the one in touch with all of the energy. It's the one in touch with the metaphysical realm where anything's possible, where everything is literally in thought form. Everything's like a blueprint which you can focus your attention on and install as a program into your unconscious, then manifest it on your physical level. So it stores all of your memories. It makes associations. It's the one that connects an experience you had when you were swinging on a swing at the park as a 4-year-old and you saw a red bus go past, and that triggers all of the memories back to you when you see a red bus today. All of a sudden, it just happens out of nowhere. That's your unconscious mind making associations. It's the one that when you hear a certain song, you're reminded of an ex-partner. It's your unconscious mind. Or when you're trying to come up with new ideas for a logo for your business and you're thinking hair cutting logo, hairdressing logo. I want to be and you think of scissors, and then you think of Edward Scissorhands, and then you think of the color black, and then you come up with a black logo. That's your unconscious mind. It makes associations. It's also the one which represses. This is a really big key here. Your unconscious mind, often without your conscious mind's awareness, is repressing these memories. Because, remember, as this baby develops, as a small baby, it doesn't know how to pay the gas bill. So when mummy says, pay the gas bill, and this baby is 5 years old, I keep saying this baby, this child is 5 years old, and it hears the words pay the gas bill because mummy's yelling at daddy to pay the gas bill before their gas gets cut off. The baby hears this and picks up the energy on the unconscious level of the anger, that's the stress that's in the room when mum's saying to dad, pay the gas bill. And it stores this, boom, down here, so that when it hears those words, there's a negative association, right? And this baby is now going to repress that memory until the unconscious mind is convinced that the baby, which is now a fully grown adult, can handle dealing with gas bills, right? That's what the unconscious mind does. It stores memories, it represses them until such a time as that being is developed enough that it can then handle the emotion behind that memory, because the baby was feeling a lot of fear when it felt that the anger of the in the room when mum was talking to dad, right? That's all happening at such a young age. So that's what the unconscious mind does. Represses memories. It presents memories when the baby's old enough. This is an automatic process that happens. When, for example, you get to a certain point in your 20s, you will naturally begin resolving conflicts, resolving patterns from your younger years. This is a natural part of your blueprint of how we work as human beings. That's part of our genetic heritage. We get to a certain point in our development as adults and our brain changes, its priorities change, and it starts to focus on resolving some of these issues. So that's another one of the unconscious mind's functions, is to go back and begin to present these memories, because it now wants you to sort them out. It wants you to grow. It wants you to expand. The primary goal down here of this power source is the unfolding and continual expansion into more and more evolution. So it presents those. It may keep these repressed for a long time though, if you aren't willing to go back and deal with that stuff to clear out the blocks. This can carry on for an entire lifetime, and in fact can carry over into another lifetime. That's what we call karma, if you believe in that. So the unconscious mind also runs your entire body. This thing here, remember the phone analogy? This physical body that we observe is a projection of the unconscious mind. It's actually more like this if you're looking at what a human being really looks at. Again, you've got infinite source energy, which is around and in and through all things. You've got the energy sphere, the metaphysical realm, and then you've got a projection. So your unconscious mind is really on the energetic level. It's not really a physical thing. This is what the problem I've got with the way that, for example, NLP or modern psychology is teaching. It completely ignores this metaphysical and this spiritual realm. It's in fact dividing it up, and this is the source of all human problems. This little ego down here wants to be separate. It wants to be separate. It doesn't want to be part of the whole because it thinks that that's a threat. But as this being evolves more and more, it realizes that it can become one with the whole and also maintain its sense of freedom and individuality. That's part of the evolution process. So again, unconscious mind runs the entire body. It's actually projecting the body. So any illness you have, your unconscious mind knows the answer to fix that. If you can clear the block to it, it will naturally heal you. It preserves the body. It's where the emotions are. The emotions, all of the emotions, the thoughts, these are actually in the field on the energetic metaphysical level in the unconscious mind. It's a highly moral being. It's really important to understand the morality that you were taught and accepted as a young developing being is how the unconscious mind tends to function, right? Which is why when some people get to a certain age and they're like, well, stuff this, I don't want to be an accountant, I don't want to do what my parents did, I want to be a business person or an artist and succeed on a totally different level. This programming, there might be some programming in there that says, well, going after money is bad, that's immoral. The unconscious mind is where we need to make the change because it's the one that is highly programmed by whatever we've been taught. So it's running off a set of morals according to what it's taught, which you can change. It controls and maintains your perceptions. It's the one that picks up all of the energy that's coming into your experience right now. You see, what you're experiencing out here as the conscious mind, as the ego, is in reality pure energy patterns filtering through this metaphysical level, getting interpreted. It has to go through all of your programming before you can then interpret it and see the world around you. It's already gone through all these layers. That's why we say perception is a projection. This is why it's so important to deal with your unconscious mind, to get familiar with how it works, to start doing shadow work, to start doing letting go, to start consciously focusing on what you want and programming yourself positively so that you can begin to manifest freely. That gives you a pretty good idea, pretty good understanding of the unconscious mind. It's the one that, again, you program through habit. It's the one that needs repetition until something becomes a ingrained habit, until this becomes a new set of behavior. It's the one that takes everything personally, which is why Jesus said, "Judge not, lest ye be judged." Your unconscious mind doesn't actually make this distinction of self and other in the strangest possible way. Once you get into this metaphysical realm, things start getting very unusual. This is where quantum dynamics are at play, right? Things are completely different to the physical world on this high energy spiritual level. So the unconscious mind, every time that you think a negative thought or say or make a judgment against someone else, your unconscious mind registers that as for you. It takes it personally. That's another huge key of the unconscious mind, which is just why it's so important. You see, being a good person isn't just about being a good person for the sake of it and because, oh, that feels good, I'm a good person. Being a good person, when you realize and your consciousness grows, is actually about how you're treating yourself. Everything is taken personally by the unconscious. So make sure you're putting out what you want to get back. That's how it works. The unconscious mind is symbolic. Next one. It thinks in terms of symbols. It thinks in terms of ideas based on symbols. It functions like a supercomputer, right? Where on the conscious level, on a very low level, the lower you get, the more you're focusing on tiny details. The unconscious mind is very symbolic. It makes free associations. It calculates enormous amounts of data. Think of the conscious mind as processing about 50 bits of data per second. The unconscious is processing something in the realm of 500,000 times as much data as your conscious mind. So this is a very symbolic space, which is why we use different symbols in marketing and advertising, which is why we've had symbols throughout human history, because the moment you see a certain symbol, it creates a certain vibration. There's an association in your unconscious mind at the unconscious level, which triggers all of these different emotions and feelings and sentiments. And actually going back to your evolutionary development is triggering programs. Symbols can be linked to programs. So when you see a certain symbol, boom, you can be triggered into acting a certain way. If you don't believe that, just think about any time that you've just randomly heard a siren go off in a car behind you and you've just had panic come across you. What's going on? A symbol, which is just a sound, it's just a woo woo sound, brings on this program of fear. Oh, there's death around me. Instantly, boom. So that's how the unconscious mind works, which is why we want to be very conscious of bringing the right symbols into our life, surrounding ourselves with things that actually stimulate our higher energy, our higher emotions of love, joy, and peace, and so on. That is a pretty thorough summary of unconscious, conscious, and spirit, which is going to set us up for some really powerful content as we move through this series. I know that's a lot of information, so go back and watch the video again, pause on the bits that you need to go over slowly. Shoot me any questions that you've got in the comments below. But that's giving you a really good grounding, and hopefully now you've got those 3 different layers. You've got your power, which is pure source energy, the center of everything, the surrounding sphere of everything that contains everything, the metaphysical realm, where ideas, imagination, vibration, energy exists, which then condenses down into our physical realm, which is the realm we access through our 5 senses and that we're perceiving right now through our conscious mind. They're the 3 different layers, the 3 different levels of power. As we move up in vibration, what are we doing? We're actually getting deeper into the metaphysical realm and tapping deeper into our own unconscious mind. And that's going to give you a really good starting point for where we're going. So I hope you enjoyed that. Please shoot me any comments, questions, hit the like button for me, share it with a friend, and I will see you on the next video.